Alright, so here we have the Steelseries Rival and the Mionix Avior 7000. They are both the 3310 sensor, which is a new sensor. This is my old 3.0. This mouse is even thinner than the FK, which was already a thin enough mouse that it made my hand cramp in palm grip. So it turned it basically into a claw grip or fingertip only mouse. And even though it's a bit wider in the back than in the front, that doesn't really help much. It still cramps my hand too much to be able to use it. This mouse is a little bit better, but the shape of it makes it basically only a claw grip or fingertip grip mouse because of the ridge on the right side here. It's very narrow and there's a big gap underneath that it makes it very strange to use in the palm grip. It doesn't feel good in palm grip at all. And also because the back side is a little bit too narrow. It doesn't fit in the palm really good. As far as the buttons go, this mouse only has 2 on this side, none on the other side. This mouse has 2 on each side. These are defaulted to off, so they don't do anything. These buttons here though on the right side, they'll get clicked accidentally when I'm in palm grip by my ring finger. Whenever I squeeze my ring finger to grip the mouse, the buttons will be clicked. Since they're unbound, it doesn't really matter that much, but it can be annoying to some people. In claw grip though, it's not a problem. Claw grip or finger, no problem. The buttons here are actually a little bit better placed than the ones on the Rival. I don't have to move my thumb at all in order to be able to click them. I can click them without hindering my grip on the mouse, whereas the Rival, I'll have to let go of my grip on the mouse in order to be able to click the side buttons here, because they're a bit too high up. Another thing good about this mouse is that the mouse wheel is very far forward. You can see it's further back on this mouse, and it's also somewhat far back on this mouse. The reason why it's good to have the scroll wheel up at the front, as close as possible to the front, is so that you can scroll it easier with your middle finger, and so you can keep your main finger on the trigger button. So if you play games where you need to bunny hop and shoot at the same time, you can do both. Whereas if you had to use your index finger to scroll and shoot, you can't do both at the same time. And when the scroll wheel is further back, it makes it a lot more awkward to scroll with your middle finger. It really screws up your grip. This mouse is also a generally better built mouse. The clicks are very nice on it. They're very crisp. These ones are a little bit more muddy. And they're actually they feel very different from right and left. This one's a lot more muddy, this one's much more crisp. As far as the feel of the sensor, it felt great on the desktop environment. Unlike the FK that uses the 3090 sensor, the FK had problems where it felt very inaccurate when doing slow, small movements on the desktop environment, whereas these two mouses are fine with that. They feel very accurate. One thing about the DPI, when you have a 400 DPI mouse and you move it 10 centimeters across the mouse pad, it should move exactly 400 DPI. This mouse is 400 DPI mouse, it does it. These mouses have variable DPI. When I would set this one to 400 DPI, it would move exactly 400 DPI. This one I couldn't set it to 400 DPI without the drivers, so I had it on 800 DPI, and it would move about 760 DPI for 10 centimeters. So it wasn't exact. I'm not sure how that might affect sensor performance in game and stuff, but I adjusted my in-game sensitivity according to that, and I didn't feel that big of a difference. As far as their performance in-game, they feel okay. They definitely feel different than this one, and that's the bad thing. You can definitely feel that smoothing that they had to incorporate in order to get that really high DPI that they have on these mice. But also because I had such a problem gripping these two mice, that also hindered my aiming as well. So I wasn't fully able to analyze the performance of the sensors. I think if you find that these mice fit your hand really well, they'll do okay as a replacement for a good sensor like this, but the grip issue is a pretty big problem. For me, I need a mouse that I can use in all 3 grips, palm grip, claw grip, and fingertip grip, because I play games that require all of them and I don't want to switch back and forth between different mice that are designed only for one grip. It's not really necessary either to have a mouse that is only designed for a particular grip. You can make one that you can use for all 3 grips very easily, but manufacturers seem to be hung up on designing mice for a particular grip only, instead of concentrating on the performance of their sensors. One big oversight by Steelseries was that they didn't mark on either a manual that came with the box, or they didn't mark anywhere on the box what the default DPI and hertz are for the Rival, so I had to go online and try to figure that out. The coating on both of these mice is fantastic. I get great grip on both of them. The side rubber on here is very nice. It provides a great grip for any kind of grip you decide to use. One problem I have with a lot of Steelseries mice is that they're too low at the front, so there's no room for the ring finger to grip the mouse over here. I actually have the same problem with this mouse, and this is why I have this thing taped on it, so my ring finger can go there. When this part is too narrow, there's no space for the ring finger, but this mouse and this mouse, they're both fine with that. As far as the height, you can see that the Avior is a pretty low mouse.